Guys, I fucking did that whole intro and I was backstage, so no one fucking heard shit. Typical fucking Biggles. All right, so we enter a world of sword and sorcery, where the goddess is in charge of the little events that happen along the way. Our finest assassin gets killed and is now reincarnated into this new world. So, let's break down the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. Now, this is a very long name. For some reason, they really like long names in their animes. And I am your host, Biggles Metz, and we're going to break this down. So I did something I usually don't do, so I will show you. I will show you what I've done. Ready? I have 7 pages of notes because I have a lot of dead air because I stop and have to remember stuff. So I went through all of this. So you guys have 7 pages of Biggles notes, okay? We're going through it. Yeah, I really like this anime, and I bought the mangas, right? But I only have, oh, what did I do? Oh, sorry, I accidentally screenshotted something. I bought the mangas, right? I have 2 through 5. 1 gets here tomorrow, so I can't even start reading it. But I did look online and read the first chapter of it online just to see the difference. And one thing I learned from reading the first chapter is I misunderstood how his reincarnation works. So he still has the same personality and the same knowledge that he had in his other world, but his reincarnated body has more control over his brain and his how his body functions. So the scene that comes later on that we will talk about isn't as bad as you would think. Check out motherfucking Ghost. Am I that white? Am I too white? Is it because all these lights are on? Do I have to shut off all the lights so I'm not as pasty as I am? All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this. So I wrote a brief synopsis about this show. I think that's the correct word. So the show is about a man who was taken as a baby and formed into the ultimate weapon. He was or I should say tool, because they use tool a lot to explain who he was. And when he gets reincarnated, he is not a tool. So tool is a very important word that is used throughout this show. He didn't feel emotions, making him the perfect killer. Seeing or taking lives is just part of the job. After being betrayed by the organization he grew up on, he is killed and meets a girl who calls herself the Goddess. She tells him about the hero that becomes a tyrant, and he is reincarnated as a newborn into a family of assassins to kill the hero. Each episode talks about his increased training and how he gains allies to help him kill the hero. These allies help him grow along the way. Talking about anime. Oh, well, send me the thing and I will have to look it up. So, let me talk about the characters before we go into the episode. So I'm going to talk about the 4 main characters. These are all part of Luke's crew. So our first character, our main character, is Luke To Holiday. Tuathaday. That's how you say it. He is also Illic Baller. So if I say Illic or Lug, they're interchangeable. I will be saying who they are based on what character he is at the time. Our Armand character. Our main character of the series, he has all the knowledge of his past life as a young kid, where the mind of his new life challenges his mind of his former life. So that I wrote that before I read the manga and understood exactly how it works. He was the world's finest assassin and was chosen by the goddess to kill this new world's hero. Only assassins could kill the hero, is according to the goddess, for others have failed. He gets reincarnated into an aristocratic family that are the kingdom's assassins. They only work for killing for the kingdom. Now, the next character we meet, or the next character we will talk about is Tart. Tart is my favorite. She is adorable. She is a girl who's abandoned in the woods. Luke saves her life, and then she becomes his personal servant / apprentice for assassins. She becomes an assassin wielding both magic and a foldable spear. She is nicknamed the Lightning Quick Battle Maiden. Then we have Dia Vakone. I don't know why I was saying that wrong. We find out later that it's Luke's cousin, the love interest for Luke. She is one of the most powerful mages in this entire world. Her and Luke are able to create new spells thanks to Luke's Spellweaver ability. There's more to her. She's also his teacher of magic, and there's a lot more stuff with Dia, and we'll talk about that when we progress through the episodes. And then we meet Maha. Maha is the blue-haired orphan who was once the daughter of a powerful merchant whose parents were killed by a rival merchant. She has a knack for ideas because her parents were a merchant, so she got that too. Her and her friends were kidnapped since she was too young. She got to skip some of the bad stuff, and then she was saved by Luke and then becomes his informant. And she runs the business for Luke, gathering the intel. So those are our four main characters. These are all part of his assassin team. So let's go ahead and start the first episode. Now, this first episode is kind of brutal, and it bugs me a little bit. But it's one fucking hell of a way to start an episode. So, I said the first episode is really cool. It starts off in the darkest way imaginable, as I was saying. There's a noble lady. She's selling, well, I can't say this on YouTube. She is delivering pizzas, I think. Yeah, delivering pizzas. Sure, let's call it delivering pizzas from now on. The first voice we hear is Tart. But we don't know who any of these characters are at the moment. So this is the really cool part of it. You have Tart, and then the next person you meet is Dia, who tells one of the girls who's about to be a pizza, who is about to be who's about to be a pizza, as we shall call it. She tells her, "Oh, you should look as pretty as possible if you want to see your mother again." And then Dia goes onto the stage, and they're about to make Dia a pizza. And they say her measurements, and she literally opens up with a spell and just starts killing nobles that are trying to make her a pizza, right? Make her a pizza. Sorry, that's a funny way of saying it to get around YouTube. And then Tart comes out, opens up her spear, and starts killing people. And then you have Maha and Luke outside being the spotter and the sniper. And as soon as Luke shoots and kills his target, you see it switch over to who Luke was in his past life. He is now the assassin that is dead, or that dies. And it starts off with him shooting his target. And he explains that we do not kill more than we're told to kill. We're told to kill 6 people. We're going to kill 6 people. And this is where he gets betrayed by the organization. He's training this girl, and he goes down, and they blow up the plane, killing everybody on the plane, including him. Now we meet the goddess. So that's the end of episode 1. It is called Quantum of Trust. Throughout the episode, he's talking about trust. So that's why that is what it's called. Now we're on episode 2, Deals of Reincarnation. So this is where we learn all about the reincarnation and what he's going to be doing now that he's going to be reincarnated. So it starts off with Luke's first body talking to the goddess. This is where we get the backstory of in 18 years or in 16 years, the hero is going to save the world. And in 18 years, he's going to become a tyrant. So you got to kill him in 18 years. Luke is now able to feel emotions. When he was the assassin, he felt no emotions. Now he feels emotions again. So he has different tools than he did before. He only has 18 years to kill the hero, but he has to wait 16 years because the hero has to save the world. He says if he can kill him before the 16, or if he can save the world, does he have to kill the hero? She says no. So he is now able to choose 5 spells. 1 S-class spell, 1 A-class spell, 1 B-class spell, 1 C-class spell, and 1 D-class spell. So he gets to choose 5 spells, and all his spells that he chooses work together to make him the strongest possible. So he takes the S skill, which is Rapid Recovery. This allows him to heal as fast as possible. Then he gets the skill Spellweaver, which we'll talk about a little later how that works. That's his A skill. His B skill is Limitless Growth. This allows him to grow past whatever limitations a certain skill would have. So he can keep getting better and better. Then his C skill is Martial Arts. And his D skill, we don't get a name. But basically, according to the dialogue, or the inner monologue in his head, this should be an S rank skill. And I think we might find out what it's called, but it's never officially said this is my D rank skill. He just says something twice in the show, and we think that might be the D skill. I'm not sure. That is just my thought process. Then he gets to choose his magical attributes. There's 6 in the world. He takes the 4 basic ones, earth, wind, fire, water. He doesn't take the 2 rare ones, which are dark and light. He figures with the 4 of those, he can be stronger, even though it takes longer to get it. He is now reborn into the house of 2 Othidei, the assassins of the kingdom, as we talked about earlier. His father is going to raise him as an assassin, even though Luke's older brother, who we never meet, was dead, training as an assassin. Then time jumps 7 years in the anime, and we see Luke hunting. Luke kills his food, and he cooks his own thing so he can have his own nutrition regimen because he's trying to train his body to be perfect weapon for killing the hero. This upsets his mother because his mother really wants to cook for him. His mother doesn't want to lose her little baby. She wants him to be his baby boy forever. And as an Italian son, I know that's how my mother is as well. No matter how old I am, she still treats me like a baby. So yeah, it's a very common thing in this anime. I can relate very much with that, with his mother. But his mother, I love his mother, Iris. She's awesome. I love her. She's funny. She is the comic relief of the show, and she's great. Now he finally gets to be, okay, hold on. What did I write? He finally feels like, so he finally feels like he's part of a family because when he was in his old life, he never got that family life. He was just trained to be a tool to kill everybody since the day he was born. Now, we find out that Kaine, his father, Kaine Tuatha, examines Luth's growth every week of his body to set up the perfect training regiment for Lug, and he's now reached the right growth and size that he can now have the eyes of Tuatha. This allows you to see mana and have vision like a hawk, and this is where Lug meets Dia. So we've basically gone through the first 2 episodes, and 7 years has passed through this episode, and we start to learn that Lug is kind of a prodigy. So we now hit episode 3, Magics of Bonds. Oh, there's also a funny scene where Lug's mother dresses him up as a girl for some reason. And she's like, but it's so cute! You know, because fucking his mom is weird, but adorable and fun. Okay, so Dia is 10, so she is 3 years older than Lug. She is there to be his magic mentor. Dia is testing how much mana Lug has, and Lug almost kills everybody because he releases so much mana at one point that they have to throw it away and it just explodes. He uses physical reinforcement. Now, I think this might be his D level skill, and it kind of protects Dia from dying from the explosion, and it also kind of protects the area around him. I think that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure. When you look at, is this chat an anime chat? I mean, if you would like to talk about anime, go for it, man. We are talking about the world's finest assassin right now. This is the assassin, if you would like. What's up, Grandmaster Chris? If you guys don't know who Grandmaster Chris is, I'm usually on a stream with him and Ryan like the last Sunday of every month. So probably, I can't do the math right now or even look at a thing. So probably the 25th would be, or not, the 26th would probably be a time you'll see him with me. So if you guys want to go give him a follow or whatever, or a sub, whatever, go do that. So where was I? Oh yeah. So we learned about Farstones, which is what was used to create the magic, and it can hold magic in it, which Lug wants to use as a weapon. So he's trying to get Dia to give him more Farstones, which we find are like a rare gift that people get. Yeah, should be a fair, or a, I forgot what I was saying. It doesn't matter now. Okay, so now it cuts to a scene where Dia and Lug are sleeping in the same bed together, because kids will sleep in the same bed together when they're younger, right? And don't have to worry about anything. She tells Lug that she is his big sister now, and he's like, "You're my sister," and he's like, "No, well, no." Or Dia goes, "No, I'm just saying that because as your mentor, I'm like your big sister. And I guess your dad didn't tell you anything. He must be hiding something." So what we said earlier about who Dia is, that's what's hiding. That's what's being hidden from him at this time. So Dia finds out that Lug has 4. Oh, okay, sorry. So Dia's testing how much magic Lug has, and she finds out that he has 4 attributes. So the 4 basic elements, where she only has 2, which is extremely rare, and she has more than most people. So him having all 4 kind of like blows her mind. And then they have his first time learning how to see a spell in his head, and they try to create copper. Now, Lug kind of figures out that if we use the periodic table that we can create other elements. So he has her try to write it down, and she goes to cast it, and she gets a major headache. And then he writes it down, and he says it, and he's able to create gold. So he writes it down and gives it to her, and she tries, and now she's able to create gold. We find out how Spell Weaver works. His A class thing allows him, as long as he writes it down, anybody can cast the spell. So he has her write down a spell, and he creates a firearm. And then he creates a cannon, and he shoots the cannon, and we find out all the powers that he's able to do thanks to this. So Dia is now going away, and she says, I wish I could stay here forever. And he gives her, he creates a titanium knife and gives it to her as a going away present, and she gives him his Far Stone. So Lug now has his first Far Stone, which he wants to collect a lot of them because he needs them to be a weapon. Now, Lug gets brought to his father, Kaine. He tells him basically everything he knew in his past life is incorrect for an assassin, right? And he doesn't know that he's from a past life, but how he says it and what he says, Lug has like a revelation that, oh, everything I thought was wrong. Now Lug gets to have his first kill. His dad hasn't killed the first person. Now these are all death row inmates, so he can practice killing people and it not affect him as much. It's a 19-year-old girl who murdered an old man, fucking robbed them, right? And she starts crying, trying to get Lug to not to kill her, right? Like, it's not my fault. I had to do it. He goes for like a humane kill and like cuts off her hand so she'd be in shock and lose enough blood so he could just kill her without like her feeling a lot of the pain. And then she starts yelling at him and Kaine and like threatens him. Like, if I get out of this, I'm going to kill you. And then it ends. This is one of the coolest scenes in the show. It like ends with him just throwing the knife in her face and like it going black. Like, that's how he kills her. Just as soon as the end credits go, he fucking hits her right in the face with a knife. I thought it was so cool how it executed into going into the next episode. And it goes into the next episode, Plan of the Goddess. Right? This is where we meet Tart. I love Tart. Tart is my favorite character. She is crawling on the ground, explaining why she is in the middle of the woods. She was abandoned, unwanted, because her family needed less mouths to feed. And then the wolves surround her. We go into the opening, and then it cuts to Lug and his mother in the marketplace. His father is also there. And we are now at age 10. So we went from 7 to 10 in this episode, or between these episodes. His poor mother feels like she's losing her baby boy because he's growing up. So Lug is searching for allies to help kill the hero. So he's using his eyes while he's standing on top of a building. He finds this old man with mana, and he's like, oh, no, that's not going to do. So he's looking around, doesn't find anybody to help. And then it goes off, it cuts off to a scene, and Lug's about to head hunting when it is snowing outside. So while it's snowing, he's like, oh no, I got to get the food, otherwise we won't eat well. And he starts running, and he hears the wolves, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to steal the prey out from under these wolves. And the prey just happens to be Tart. So these two meet. Lug comes around and rescues her from the wolf and training. Says how he kills each target. He's like, broken neck, insta kill, concussion, unfortunately not fatal, right? And he starts saying how he kills all of them, and it's super cool. Luke then gives Tart his jacket so she can stay warm, and he feeds her. He starts using what he says brainwashing techniques to make Tart stay with him and for her to help him with his job. Tart also has mana, which is the real reason why Luke wants her. We also learned about another failed reincarnation. It was like some special forces guy who just was like, yeah, now I'm a lazy fat bastard who doesn't want to do anything, you know? He's like, I'll start training tomorrow. So he was like a piece of shit and a bad choice by the goddess. And now we skip another 2 years. Tart and Luke, or Tart is now Luke's personal service and apprentice. Tart is clearly in love with Luke, and Tart now has to go through the same thing Luke did with his father to assess what the best training regimen is for her. Luke is finally now a teacher of assassination, which is what he was supposed to be before he became assassinated by his own organization. We find out that Tart is no good with a knife, but she's good with a spear, which is a bad weapon for assassination. Sorry. And Luke creates a foldable spear using his magic, allowing her to shine in combat. So we meet Tart. We've met Dia. Luke is now 12, and he has his qualifications for assassination. So Luke is now becoming an assassin, and his father would like him to take over as the house. So we are on episode 5, qualifications of an assassin. So this starts with Tart and Luke in the marketplace, and we find how much the town or the region of Tuatha, which is named after the noble family, of course, and they're all giving Luke his stuff because Luke has now helped out so much for the people of Tuatha that they love him and they'd do anything for their lord. Now, Luke now has a bunch of Far Stones that Dia gave him, the first one. He was able to recreate it after analyzing the first one. So now he has so many Far Stones that he can use as weapons. Luke's father tells him he has to go to the training room. And they're talking about Tart. So they thought Tart was probably a spy. The family really likes Tart, and they're glad that they don't have to kill her because they figured out that she isn't a spy. She was just a girl who what's this about lube? I don't know. I didn't say anything about lube. I said lug. Lug. Finds out that she wasn't a spy. She was just a girl that happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, which the goddess might have set up according to Luke and Tart. So the family likes her and having that they don't have to kill her. Okay, good. Luke now has to fight his father as a test for Luke to see if Luke is ready to be able to start working on becoming the head of the house and to be trained as a proper assassin, being able to go on his own assassinations. So he has to fight his father. Luke knows he's outmatched. Like this fight is fucking awesome. I really like watching this fight. It shows Luke using all his skills. He knows he's outmatched without using magic, so he devises a plan. And he takes a gamble, and he ends up beating his father in battle. But that wasn't the real test. We find out that his dad was testing him. And Luke's father goes, you were holding back. And he's like, but I wasn't holding back. He's like, not using your magic wasn't holding back. And Luke basically says, well, you said this was a test. So me using my magic wouldn't be part of the test. And he's like, oh, you passed the real test, right? So then they do like a cool assassination montage where Kaine is just killing a whole bunch of people while Luke is learning how to do it from his father. So Lug has to use, or Kaine teaches Lug about using his aliases for assassinations, and this is what the last final test would be. Lug gets announced as the next head of the household, which annoys a character who's probably going to be important in season 2, hopefully. His name is Rona. He is a knight. He should have been the next head of the house after Lug's older brother died. So he challenges Lug, and he's easily defeated, super easy, no trouble at all. So Lug has a conversation with him outside after the party, and he goes, once I take over the head of the house, I'm going to need you as my knight. And then Lug now becomes Eilik, or Eilik. Yeah. Illick Balor. That's how you say it. Illick. Oh my God. Eilik. Come on, Biggles. Illick. So now if I say Illick, I'm talking about Lug. Just remember that for future references. I will say Lug when he's as Lug, and I will say Illick while he's as Illick. So he's going to be taking over as his alias. So this is another episode about pizza, kind of, and it's bad. So we'll be using the code pizza for this episode, right? So this episode starts with Tart and Lug, I mean Illick, because now he's Illick, getting their new outfits, and Illick changes his hair color using magic. Next, we meet a young girl, Maha. This is actually 2 years earlier than the Tart and Lug situation. And she's greeting peoples in the city of Miltu, which is the world, or the region that he is going to be selling. It is a big merchant town. He is now undercover as a merchant. She is basically leading a tour company full of young girls, taking care of all the other girls, even though a lot of them are older than she is. She has a mind for business because her father was a merchant, which we don't find out in this episode. The girls share a dream together, and a group of men comes and kidnaps them and takes them to the orphanage. The leader of the orphanage wants the money given basically from the state for taking in orphans. This is truly an awful place and an awful man. He wants to make these girls pizza. They beat the crap out of the girls. And and then later they deliver them as pizza. Maha is then forced to help the other girls get ready for becoming pizza. After the girls gets back, he makes them his own pizza. This is the most fucked up episode of the show. And I really want to fuck these guys up because I don't like when people have pizza. It bothers me. Now, 2 years later, Maha is now 12, and they want to make her a pizza. But Illick shows up and and sees Maha about to cut her face up, because one of the other girls cut her face up because how fucked up being pizza was, right? So she sliced herself up into slices, right? Still alive, just scarred her face. So he sees that Maha has mana and buys her, saying, I want her as my personal assistant. I want this one. She's special. And the leader of the orphanage says, well, I need 3 days with her, basically so he can make her pizza before he has to give her up. Because it would be Maha's first time making pizza. Illick notices it, like Maha making like a face, like, help me, save me. And he threatens the man and says, she's part of my family now. I expect nothing to happen to her. And she he takes her, pizza, what flavor? Whatever kind you want. I'm not saying lube, I'm saying lug. Lugh, not lube. Curse you. So he's like, has her in a carriage, and he's like taking her away to become pizza. And she like pushes him, and then we find out that the right-hand man also has magic or mana and is able to stop her. But Illich shows up and completely fucks this dude up, right? And then tells her to join. He breaks the dude's arm, and then he sets them all up for arrest. And one of the guys is trying to make Tart a pizza. And then the cops break in, but I think Tart was going to kill him. And then you just see Tart like do a back swan dive out of the window. It's a fucking cool way to end it. And then all the girls get taken care of by Illich, and he cures the scars of the girl who cut her face. So that's like the most fucked up episode, and it has a very satisfying ending. Thank God. No pizza, okay? No pizza. We don't like pizza here. If you get why we're calling it pizza, then you probably paid attention to something a long time ago. Now we're on episode 7, Life's a Falsehood. So basically it's about him being Illich Baller rather than being Lug Tuatha. All right. So he's Illich Baller. So in this episode, Illich is now helping out his new brother from his alias with surgery. And he says, don't even tell your mom, because he's supposedly the bastard child of Hor. So he shouldn't be there. So he's not bad for a 12-year-old, right? Like he's already doing surgery at 12. And Maha has now become the adopted little sister of the Balors. So she is now Maha Balor. The Balors are now teaching Illich how the business side works, because he is, after all, an assassin, not a businessman. And Mr. Balor gives him his own company to run. He goes, this is the store. You're going to run it. Now, the business that he decides is cosmetics. But this world does not have moisturizer, so he's going to sell moisturizer to women's. So it's the first of its kind. Illich is now 13 years old. In order to mass produce, Illich has produced in Tuatha, because no one's going to try to steal from assassins, and no one is going to betray Lug and his family in the region of Tuatha. So that's why they did it. This allows them to keep it safe and protected on how to make moisturizer. The girls from earlier are now working under Maha to run the store, who is the assistant manager of the store. She's in charge of basically everything, while Illich sits outside drinking tea, basically with Tart. There's actually an attempt to kidnap Illich because they want to torture him and get how to make moisturizer. And Tart and Maha basically kick this guy's ass, and they start torturing him, right? But we get another reincarnation. The goddess tries to reincarnate someone else, and it's the dumbest scene in the entire show. She's like, yeah, I got an MC. And she's like, rapping with me. And it's like awful. It's so cringe. And it's so cringe that it's funny. And the goddess goes, oh, I guess in this world, he's just making fun of people. And he basically gets his ass kicked. It's great. But it's so cringe. So now Tart and Maha are basically like sisters. So when Lug leaves, like he's going to have Tart do all the deliveries so her and Maha can still like see each other all the time. But Luke made a promise to Dia way back in like the 3rd episode that he would come visit her all the time. So it's Luke's monthly visit to Dia, and now he's Luke again. He's not Illic. So Dia has figured out a way to create a gravity reversal spell. This is going to come in huge later. Huge later. Okay, so we like it. We like that we found out the reverse gravity. He also brings her chocolate because we know every girl loves chocolate. Who doesn't? Let's be honest. To me, this is when the funniest thing happens in the entire show. After he leaves Dia, he goes to bed, and both Maha and Tart will sleep in the same room as him, just because they don't like being alone, so they'll like sleep in the same bed. And this part is inappropriate, but it's extremely funny, especially now that I actually understand how the reincarnation works. So he still has the same personality, and he still has all the knowledge as before, but he's still a 13-year-old boy going through puberty. So he has a wet dream. So the girls wake up and they go, "What's that smell?" And he's like, "What?" And he looks, and he's like, "Shit." Because he's like, doesn't want any of this to happen. And he starts trying to explain it through science. He's like, no, it's not that bad. It's completely normal for a boy my age. It just happens accidentally. And yeah, both of the girls ignore him, and they just start like teasing him. But it's extremely funny, you know. And like the girls are like, "Ooh, you should let us do it or help you with that." And he's like, no, I'm good. Because like he's still like in the mindset that he's an older man, only 13. So he's like, no, please no, like don't. But that's basically how it ends, and it's fucking hilarious to me. I know it's bad, but it's funny, so it's fine. Am I choppy? It looks like I'm choppy on YouTube, but on StreamYards, it looks like I'm fine. Let me know, guys. Let me know. So we're now on episode 8, Right of Choice. We have 4 more episodes to get through. There is no tier list. I didn't make one for this. For a second, it's fine now. Okay. So we have 4 more episodes to go through, and we want to try to keep it right at an hour. I was thinking of doing a tier list, but I like all the characters, like even the shitty ones. So like I wouldn't be a good judge of how well the characters are written. All right. So 2 of Maha's friends, the girls that work at the shop that she helped raise and she lived in with the orphanage, are on their way back with groceries where 2 men grab them because they want to make them into pizza. Maha comes out of nowhere and fucking kicks the shit out of him. And then it cuts to a new thing, and Tart is returning from an assassination mission. They're now about 14 years old because this is about the end of his 2 years there. And Tart got a new nickname. She is the lightning quick battle mage, and this embarrasses Tart. This adds to Tart's adorability. She is freaking adorable. Just no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it because I would give everyone an S tier, no matter what. I like them all. Maha is now in charge of Orna, which is the name of the cosmetic company. The cosmetic company is basically a way to gather intel. So she's talking about expanding the business, and she is going after her father's old business, trying to take it back from the man who killed her father. Since she was the heiress. not the Harris. Oops. So we find out her backstory here. And the girls got Illick, the girls that work at the shop got Illick a herbal tea to say thank you as a going away present for saving them and giving their life purpose. So Illick is no more unless he goes undercover. Lug Tuatha is now back. On the way back, Lug and Tart are attacked by wolves. These wolves have mana. Yes, they have mana. And Tart asks to test her strength against them. She completely kicks the shit out of them without barely doing anything. She like stabs one, shoots magic out of her back, and then throws a spear through the one running away in the head. And she basically does like 4 movements, and it's GG. Yeah, she fucked them up. Lug now goes to visit the town folks on their way back with Tart. I think he missed them. Like the interaction with Lug and the people of Tuatha are like some of the best interactions I've seen in shows because it seems very genuine, or at least to me. And there becomes a funny scene with his mother who like super misses him because she now has her baby boy back after not being able to see him in 2 years. And she is a very, I need my son mother, you know? She has Tart tell her everything that happens, and we know what happened in the last episode. So his mother finds out. Kaine tells Lug he can choose to go back as being a merchant or he can stay as an assassin. Lug chooses the assassin life after all now to kill the hero. His main reason, though, isn't about killing the hero. It's he wants to marry Dia one day, and he can't do that unless he is a noble. He is now given his first assassination target. We enter episode 9, Compensation of Assassins. The target is explained to be Count Osma Vencor. He's this count that is selling information for military secrets and selling drugs to the people. This is how he gets rich. He has a wife that is very popular for like other women. Like she's the one to be like because she's very beautiful and now she's like blinged out, right? She's high society, right? They sent pigeons to Mahad so they can gather more information, and we get another funny scene with Luke's mother. So the wife has a medieval OnlyFans. She might have her own OnlyFans for medieval, like posters on the wall, 5 gold coins. You know, who knows? So Luke's mother is actually trying to set up an arranged marriage, and Luke is like, "No, I'm not having any of it." Luke's mom wants grandchildren. Okay, she's like, "I need grandchildren," and then Tart says, "I'll have his children." And then we go on, and we meet this little girl who's selling jam, and I'll put jam in quotation marks. This is the drug that he's been selling to his people. Lug tastes it, figures out it's a drug, smashes all of them, and then the dealers and the enforcers come in trying to be like, "Hey, how dare you mess with our business?" And Lug and Tart just fuck these guys up. Like, fuck them up. No problem. And the girl is crying because she needs to get the drugs to her mother because her mother is addicted to this. So they go back and meet the mother. Luke uses his eyes and find out where like the drug is like affecting her body and like hits her and gets rid of it. right? And now Illick is back, and so is Maha, and they are on their way to assassinate this target. They're going undercover at a party. They meet the wife and use her as a way in. And he's like, yep, we're definitely going to assassinate this dude. And it ends with Lug sniping the Count in the head. He sees the Countess crying over his body, and he's actually empathetic towards her, which he didn't have any empathy in his last life because he was a tool. But now he's a human, and he knows sometimes he has to kill because it's what's best. And Tart is actually there for him and comforts him because she sees that Lug is affected because he got along very nicely with the wife, and he knows this will make her sad. So he felt bad, but he doesn't regret it because he is, after all, an assassin. So episode 10, we get first of dates. So Lug and Tart are on a small ship. They have been training on an inhabitable island. Training, we find out why this is important later in, I believe, the final episode. And they meet Maha on the shore. Maha has information about a divine treasure. This divine treasure is a magical shield. They think the owner of this magical spear, I said shield earlier, but it's a spear, sorry, is in fact the hero. We find out that there's a civil war happening where the hero is part of the rebel forces, and they're going against Dia's house. In episode, or I think later in the episode, we find out what's actually happening. Or no, that's in the next episode. We find out what is happening. So Lug goes to visit Dia, and Dia tells Lug not to worry about the war. It's outside of their area. They'll be fine, right? And her father's a good loser, which means he'll survive if they lose the war. And Dia says she needs to save for her people. So she tells Lug, we're going on a date. So they go on a date. They go to a shooting gallery. Lug mentions that he can tell that there's soldiers around. And she's like, oh, most of them were conscripted, so we have a lot of soldiers here. So he blows it off. They go to a shooting gallery, and Lug's like, yeah, I'll just win you this gift for things. And Tia's like, no, that's cheating because you have all these skills and you can use your aim and all that. That's cheating. So basically, when you're on a date and you help your date, if you're going to shoot pool, you teach her how to shoot pool and you go over her and you shoot. Well, that's basically what he does with the bow and arrow, and she learns how to shoot. And she wins the bear. And then we cut to the goddess. The goddess finds a teacher for the hero, and the teacher's what makes the hero defeat the demon lord, right? And then we cut back to the date. Lug and her are basically eating lasagna, and he's like, it doesn't matter. It's really good. It's the best because I'm eating it with you. She's like, no, that's not true. It doesn't make any sense. And he promises to make her lasagna next time she comes to Tuatha Day. So they run into a little boy, and he lost his mind. He lost his mom, so they go to help him find his mom. And he finds his mom, right? And Dia tells him, you're very kind. And he said, no, I did it because it would be a bad impression with you. And he's like, oh, so you are kind, right? And he's like, you didn't listen to anything I said. And then they go to a hot spring, and Luke is super nervous. And then they leave, and Dia says that's enough. And all the townspeople throw off their clothes, and they're back into their soldier uniforms. We go to episode 11. Choice of betrayal. Lug returns home to meet a man who is greatly injured. A man who hired Lug to kill Dia. That's right, his love interest. He's going to kill Dia. But Kaine tells him that he can turn it down. It's up to you. We do not assassinate if we don't believe that it is the right target, right? So Luke asks all these questions. He now figures out why Dia wouldn't run in the last episode. She would have, and we find out that she's been to be traded off as like an arranged marriage, and the people of the town would not let her go. So they basically killed everybody who was trying to take Dia away, which caused the civil war. The client was Dia's father. So Dia's father is like, you have to kill my daughter. And we find out that they want to fake her death, right? So they can get Dia out of there and save her. But we find out that he has like no time to get there. So Luke takes off to go. Or wait, hold on. There's a more important part before he leaves, right? They tell Luke he won't get there fast enough, right? So Kaine is willing to, or was only able to break his principles once because they only kill for the kingdom. But he killed one other time, and that was for his mother, who is actually Dia's aunt, which is why they are cousins. So we find out that they're cousins. His mother was a Vicone. This is the secret from episode 3 that Dia knew about and he didn't know. So Tart helps Tart helps Luke get there as fast as she can. She basically sacrifices her body, her mind, and everything to cause a slipstream so Luke can run behind, taking less wind resistance. They go faster than they ever could, and they take off and they get there. They get to Dia faster than ever. Dia collapses and says she'll be Luke's ultimate tool because he no longer wants to be a tool. He wants to be a person who makes his own decisions and stuff. She starts crying and collapses on the ground. Luke arrives and scouts on the battlefield. He starts taking out the most dangerous enemy soldiers first, so anybody with mana. With his fire spell, that is the name of his gun. And he starts shooting people. Then he uses the far stones from a bow to be silent because he doesn't want them to know. And it's basically a grenade launcher. It ends with him reaching Dia. Now, sounds like they wanted to collect the insurance money from her death. You know what? If they had insurance, I'm sure that is what it was. So now we get to the final episode. So we're going to try to wrap this up pretty quick. I'll give all my thoughts about the show afterwards, and we'll go through it. The episode starts with Luke's soul being reincarnated. So this is when she's like, "Oh, the goddess goes, this is this," and it shows him. They find him, and now he's there. All right. Count Vicone notices that Dia is in love with Luke and basically approves of the relationship. So he's got the father's blessing. The people of Vicone, the people love Vicone so much that they won't let them die unless all of them are dead. So they lock him in a room. So Count Vicone and Dia are locked in a room, and they're protecting him, and they won't let anybody else die. So they go to try to fake the death. And then Luke gets a sense that he's going to die like he did in his first life. And the divine sphere goes through the castle and just fucking blows shit up. So Luke uses Bombard, which is like he shoots a cannon at him. So he uses Bombard at the guy he thinks is the hero. And it does nothing. It actually makes the guy stronger because he has the Berserk skill. And then he has another skill that makes any weaknesses from Berserk useless. So this dude is an absolute monster. We learned his name is Magnus. Now, Magnus was the guy who had the spear, who they believe is the hero. And he challenges Luke to a duel. Maha sent Luke a warning, but it didn't get there in time to warn him that Magnus was actually on the way. So it's a scene that cuts to his parents right there. And then Luke devises a plan. Even though he knows he can't win a duel, he's an assassin. So he's going to assassinate him, you know? So Luke and Dia's father go to the battlefield. They set up the rules of the duel, all while Luke is counting down. So the counting down is significant in here. We'll find out shortly why. They agree to everyone leaving if Luke wins. So no more fighting, right? The war is over if Luke wins this duel. If Magnus wins, he gets to take Dia back to the people that want to marry her, and he gets to kill everybody else there. So he doesn't really sound like a hero to me, but he has all the properties that could be for a hero. Luke tells the soldiers to back up because he doesn't want anybody to accidentally die too. You see the goddess smile. So this might actually be a test that the goddess put in front of Luke. They start the duel on a coin flip. For some reason, I wrote card flip, but it's a coin flip. They say once the coin hits the ground, we'll go. So the coin hits the ground, and then a fucking nuclear bomb basically fucking hits Magnus. Right? That's what he was counting down for. It is a rocket from the sky. It has 1,000 times the power of his bombard skill. He calls it Gungnir. Probably, I don't know why it's called Gungnir, but that's what he calls it. And he used it thanks to Dia's gravity spell. So what we learned earlier comes back into play once again in this episode. And this is what they were training for on the island. He basically nuked him. Yeah, fucking insane. So Luke passes out from the explosion, and Dia is the one crying his name out when he awakes. And Luke kept his promise to Dia when he said, I would come running if you ever need me. Now she will go back to Othiday with him, and there's a little montage at the end, basically going over all the stuff that happened in the show, leading up to him being able to assassinate it. And then we get the preview of the next episode. The true hero has arrived in the kingdom. So that was the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat, as broken down by me, Biggles, at the Biggles Breakdown. So my thoughts on this show is I actually really like it. It has some funny parts. Now, Luke, as a character, he's kind of overpowered, mainly because he was reincarnated, and most isekais, the heroes are overpowered. The true heroes is the friends we met along the way. That's basically what this is, right? So Luke is overpowered as a hero, but like as a character, he still manages to grow. So he was like this mindless weapon, and he still gets character growth, even though his power set is overpowered, which isn't cool for a story. You want them to struggle. And so far, he hasn't struggled with anything. But Tart, Maha, both have so much character development. They had so much they had to struggle with on their way to becoming where they are now. Dia is also kind of like a prodigy, but she has to struggle because even her fire or her magic isn't strong enough to win the duels. So I really like the characters in the show. The interactions between them are really funny. I like the artwork, how they draw and animate the show. The side characters that we haven't talked a lot about are actually interesting, and they don't feel like they put a scene in just to have a scene in, other than like the failed reincarnations. Like there was like 3 other ones that I didn't even talk about because they were like, that's the only part of the show that feels like it's not there. As I would put this, it's not the like the best anime out of the animes I watch. It might be one of my favorites because I do enjoy like the interactions between the characters, and I am liking how the story is going. Um, but as compared to like something like Full Metal Alchemist, it's nowhere close. It's just a fun little weird anime that has some really dark scenes. Um, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. I bought the mangas. So merchant mangas, I like to do all the stuff I have. I looked to see if they had like the Noidoids or Netoids or however you say them. But none of them they don't have any for this. I might look to see if they have like a Tart and Luke figure. If they have those two together, I would get it or whatever. I have 2 through 5. One gets here tomorrow. And basically the first season is it ends like 10 pages, maybe like 10 pages in. No, like it ends like this much is the end. Once they get here, that's the end of the first season. So you have like, there's 5 right now. So you have a whole bunch left in the manga to get through. So I'm hoping there's going to be more. They just announced recently that there is going to be a season 2. So maybe we'll have to come back for season 2 and get the season 2 part of the breakdown. I appreciate all of you being here. We're a little over an hour at an hour and 10 minutes. So if you guys liked what you heard, check it out. I really like this anime. And you might like it too. There's some weird scenes, and it's pretty funny. Season 2, part 20. What are you talking about? They're working on season 2 now. They haven't said it's going to come out yet, but they said it's official getting a second season, but they haven't got there yet. So thank you, you guys. That was the Biggles breakdown. I'm going to be maybe taking a couple weeks off. I want to get more guests on here again. So if you like talking anime and you're a fan and you like some of the same stuff I do, maybe we can work together on planning a time. We do these every Monday. Don't mind me just being stupid, says gaming. All right. We do these every Monday. It's going to be a little different once the new year comes in. But I do want to do more of these. I'm going to try to get more prep work like I did on this one, because I said a lot less in this than I usually do. So that is awesome for me. And I will see you all next time.
Biggles is here. Hi, says I could be a hooker. Biggles, will your hooker name be Bagels? Mine would be cream cheese.